I think before we talk about who John Thune is, it's probably worth at least just talking about why he was in a place to replace Mitch McConnell. So Mitch McConnell, he's one of the longest serving senators from Kentucky, not necessarily one of the longest serving senators in Congress, but as far as Kentucky is concerned, he's been there for a while. The other senator from Kentucky is Senator Rand Paul, and he's a bit of a young bug in comparison. This year, Mitch McConnell announced that he was hanging up the reins. He has had a colorful time in the Senate, and love him or hate him, I think that he was an effective majority leader. And similar to Nancy Pelosi, whether you love her or hate her, these are just big icons of people in the DC swamp that understand how to get stuff done for better and or for worse. Most people probably first learned about Mitch McConnell towards the end of the Obama presidency when he held up one of Obama's Supreme Court picks. He's probably Obama wanted to put somebody that he thought was somewhat moderate, thought that it would be an easy sell. As the majority leader, Mitch McConnell basically just gets to choose whether or not they want to take. Basically, he gets to set the priorities for the Senate. And his sort of comment was, we should let the next president pick. Next president was Donald Trump. Kind of the rest is history, so to speak. So they just recently had a in-house election. So this wasn't like an election where the people get to decide or whatever, but the Republicans had like 53 seats, I think it was. So as a part of this, who's going to be our next majority leader? There were three names that were proposed: John Thune, John Cornyn, and Rick Scott from Florida. So there was like a MAGA effort to get Rick Scott elected because they thought that Rick Scott was the person best in charge of helping Trump push through his priorities in this next term. But Rick Scott is, and he's also from Florida. And there was a lot of speculation that, Trump is just going to staff his entire administration with Floridians. So Rick Scott didn't get it. He actually only got 13 of the 53 votes. Thune ended up getting the majority. I forgot what the number was, but he ultimately won. And it's ostensibly a job that he's probably been gunning for about the past 20 years or so. So John Thune, he's from South Dakota, and he has had a pretty career. Kind of started getting into politics back in I think he actually was elected to the House of Representatives, and I can't remember how many House members they've got. They may only have one. I think South Dakota, and correct me if I'm wrong, anybody watching this, I think they only have 3 electoral votes. When he decided that he was no longer wanting to run in the House, he wanted to run in the Senate. There's this really personal story in the local newspaper there, South Dakota Chronicle or something like that. But they story about his transition out of the House to the Senate and what that would mean, because the person that was in the Senate seat at the time that he was running for was a Democrat, but the Democrat was also the Senate majority leader. So it was a person by the name of Tom Daschle. And this article talked about this kind of out of this family where he talked to his family about what he wants to do, but he said, hey, it's going to be a fight and all of you are going to be a part of it. He's married, he has 2 daughters. And then he put it to a vote, like a ballot vote or something like that. Want me to do this, yes, or do you want me to do this, no? And he says, everybody their votes. And there were 3 and 1 no. And the 1 no was from him. So in essence, if it's he'd want to do it or he'd want to put his family through this or something. But in essence, that's colored and or shaped, to get into the Senate. He won. And he was the first person to unseat a majority leader in 50 years. So if in perspective, it would be Mitch McConnell had a running against him the last time he was up for election. I'm going to forget her name, but it's McGrath or something like that. And everybody thought she had a really, really chance of beating him. Tons of money went to Kentucky. She ended up losing because it's really hard. People like their majority leader, so that's why they vote for them. And there's a coalition of people that want to make sure that they stay there. So he unseated Daschle and, replaced obviously by some other person. That's probably not all that important, but in essence, when he, the Senate, he was committed to help his people. There was a set of closures, of base closures. Government has these things called BRAC. It's base and commission something. Gosh, there's 2 I forget. But in essence, what that means is They're a program within the government that they shut down bases when they no longer serve a purpose. And that was kind of a big thing, is to save this military base that was like an area. And he managed to do it. It saved tons of jobs. So like tons of government contractor jobs, whatever. And actually got the government to even kind of start utilizing it for other, I think for a bomber program or something like that. Yeah, those were basically his humble beginnings.